When Steel Talks is pleased to have on the phone Dr. Dawn Batson, who is Associate Professor of Music at Florida Memorial University. Dr. Batson, welcome to When Steel Talks. Very good to have you here.
Thank you.
A number of questions for you, especially in celebration of the International Month of Women being March, and we are looking toward all those who have some input and, in your case, major influence in the world and culture and the art form of the steel pan instrument. So, without further ado, tell us, when and how did you first encounter the steel band instrument? Naturally, of course.
It was when I was a small child, probably around 4 or 5, in a carnival time. I remember being in the middle of Desperado's blue section, just fascinated by the sound. And, well, lost my family at that point, but they found me. This is my first vivid memory.
That must have been it. Okay, well, what is it about the pan that fascinates you?
I think there's something about the sound. The sound, it strikes the chord. I mean, I've played a number of instruments through my life, and my family is a musical one. But there's just something about the steel orchestra that, like no other instrument, it vibrates within me, and I couldn't explain it. But it's just a connection. I don't know if it's an industrial connection or just the beauty of the steel, or well, like at that age I couldn't have known where it came from, but there was just that connection.
Okay. You also play the piano?
Yes.
And the violin? Okay. Do you find, should I say, a synergy across the instruments as you move from one to another?
The piano was my first instrument, and then I went to the violin and viola. But to me, when I'm writing and arranging, even though I bring in other instruments, the pan is the center.
You've done a lot to further and popularize the steel pan instrument, and you teach about and the actual practice of the instrument. What has been your greatest joy and satisfaction as it relates to the instrument, and of course, what has been what you would term your greatest disappointment, if any?
I think the greatest joy that I've had is seeing some of the young people that I've worked with over the years just blossom, and I think their intrepidness, they are not afraid to go where perhaps others were before. They're not locked into tradition. Tradition is good. It's good to know your history. It's good to know where you came from. But I always feel that you must be willing to tread new paths, innovate. And some of the young people, I think, are definitely on that path.
And any disappointments to date?
For me, I think in the home of the instrument, the birthplace of the instrument, we have not done with it as much as we could benefit our own people. My dissertation was on the economics of the steel band, how you could use the instrument as an economic force, and to me that has not taken place to the extent that it can be. A number of people in the pan world are still suffering unnecessarily, I think, in my view, because the pan can be used and has been used all around the world as an economic force, and we as Trinidadians and Tobagonians have not fully utilized it. That is my disappointment.
Your students all speak about you in glowing terms. Why do you think you've been so successful with the types of students you turn out? Because as you said, they are your greatest successes. What do you think really is the key to that success?
I think, one, respect, because in my life I always have respect for others and what they can teach me, because from a baby, from someone who's 90 years old, I learn so much, irrespective of age or background or whatever. I think teaching is a two-way street. You learn and you give, and perhaps that is
the reason
what
why
they gain from me. I don't know.
Whatever it is indeed working.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And also, I like to challenge my students. I don't like them to just accept the norm. I like them to
go beyond. Who are your musical influences?
I think a number of people, but first of all, my family, as I said, my mother, my aunt, my uncle, all of them were into music, my cousins, and surrounded by them, I was given that freedom to explore. Because mentioned that at the time when I was growing up, some people, say of a middle class background, weren't allowed perhaps to go into the pioneers, to go into that village, to go into the areas that I was allowed to. So I was able to straddle a number of worlds. I was able to go into the music festival. I was able to go into that village and gain so much. And sometimes I think we tend to limit our children in order to perhaps protect them. But then you limit them too much because you lose out on so much. And for me, I think musically, I'd have to say it was all those different influences, the classical, the folk, traditional, world music that I was exposed to that happened. So I thought there's one particular person or musician, but because of the family and also being allowed to go out and explore.
What steel band arrangers do you admire and why?
I admire every steel band arranger.
As a judge, you have to be careful. I know the question is an interesting one.
No, but also, genuinely, because I think anyone who goes out and arranges for instruments, that's a love. Mm-hmm. That is something that you can't take away. So I admire all of them, and the certain types of music being humanized, I perhaps gravitate more to, but I admire all of them.
Okay. If you could change one thing about Panorama, what would it be?
I think that I would make it perhaps, that's a difficult question. One thing. I would like to see Panorama, in terms of the arrangement, I would like to see arrangers being given credit for risk. That is one thing that I would like to see.
Okay. Expand on that just a little bit more, because it's a teaser.
Over the years, if you follow Panorama or if you've been involved in it as judge, as jury, which we all are, or as participants, on all sides, you find that sometimes people try in terms of the range and bands, because it's a competition, you want to find the formula. And because you're looking for a formula, I feel, this is a personal opinion, that you can become stagnant. And the music doesn't work as it should. Whereas if there was some point given for credit towards innovation, doing something new, then I think that would expand.
Okay.
You have 120 or depending on the category you are under players, and you have instruments, and you have tuners. The research and development area of it should be part and parcel of the Panorama experience, because it's the biggest competition for pan anywhere in the world. And as a result, if you want to see different things happening,
it has to start from there.
Like that.
Okay. Have you ever played with a Panorama band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Invaders of Phases, Samberry.
Do you miss it?
No. When I played, it was wonderful and I enjoyed it. Well, I've also played with bands in the U.S. as well for Panoramas up here. But I don't miss it.
Okay.
I like now seeing the younger ones and older ones and everybody else playing and enjoying. I like now the freedom to go and hear different bands. I love being on the track.
So So when you're actually adjudicating, it's kind of like cutting into your enjoyment from being on the drag then.
Yeah. I would say so because when if you are judging or even if you're giving commentary, you have to put on your analytical hat, and sometimes as fans you just want to enjoy the music. I don't always want to. For instance, this year when I was listening to Harman with
Ray Harman?
Yes.
If We Really Want?
What?
If We Really Want this year?
Yes. To me, that is just pure music.
It was beautiful music, indeed. That's a general comment. We've seen quite a few comments going back and forth about that was just pure music. It was the most musical piece in the estimation of quite a few people for the Panorama, and especially for the finals rounds.
Yeah, and at times like that, for me, I didn't want to analyze and say, okay, yeah, he went into the minor, he's bringing in the use of the basses there, because that was sure, but no, you just want to listen.
And enjoy. He's going to be a pan lover for a change.
That is it.
When you were playing, did you have any preference to instruments, tenor, bass, double second?
For festival, for classical music, I love double second. Panorama, I love the bass. I'd say 6 days, 9 days bass. I love the bass because of the movement.
And that's exactly where you found yourself in Desperados at 5 years old, amongst the basses. It kind of kept up with you.
Dude, right. That was not bad with you, right?
That's where your heart is, deep in the drum. Okay.
That is it.
What are your thoughts generally in 2006 now regarding women and the steel band? It could be from any perspective whatsoever, any point, just your own personal thoughts.
I think no, and I hope people don't beat me up, but I think that women are it's almost like we've come full circle. The women are at the forefront right now. If you look at the number of the bands, a number of things that are happening in the pan world, women are taking the instruments and art form to a new level. And what I would like to see actually, and this isn't only in terms of pan, but in the world in general, I would like to see our men working hand in hand with women. Because I think that many women who are involved have a fantastic sense of direction, fantastic sense of commitment, and all the men that were involved in the pan roles were in the past have had that as well. And now what I'd like to see is them doing it together, utilizing the strengths of each
and the talents.
Exactly.
Well, Dr. Batson, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with the When Steel Talks, and you being a major motivating force in the steel band culture, both nationally and, of course, internationally. Thank you very much again, and please keep on doing. Wish you nothing but the best for the rest of your very, very long career we're anticipating.
Thank you so much, and please keep up the good work. You are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much for chatting with When Steel Talks.